Can anyone catch them, do you think?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, unbelievable. We didn't expect that.
سينمائية جميلة ورائعة.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Gooners podcast. So, with all the games coming thick and fast, we Arsenal fans have become a little bit, lazy in the past couple of weeks, and that is true for even Gooners. We have become lazy. We were putting out like one episode every time when we can, but good thing is the fixture is going to become a little bit more hectic, and so we are trying to put in episodes as regular as possible, even though it's going to be just me and Bob today talking about the win against Leicester City and a preview for the upcoming game against Liverpool. Hi Bob, welcome.
Hey, how are you going, man?
I'm good. Especially after that victory, absolutely good.
Buzzing, isn't it? Yes.
So that's the keyword, right, Bob? Especially after this victory, I was watching the game in the pub here, and there was like literally this was the most fun experience that we had in a lot of time. Especially I think it was one of those moments in second half when there was a 40 passes move into their this and the crowd was going oles all along with every pass. And in the pub that I was watching, it was the same thing. Every one of us started olaying every pass, and it felt really good. It felt really good to have this victory.
Yeah, the scoreline doesn't reflect our actual performance, I would say. At a point in time, we should have been, had we been more clinical, we would have been at least 3-0 up before halftime, that I can think of, So it's so good and exciting to watch Arsenal performing to the levels that they were, back during those days. But it's so refreshing for us to actually play and watch games more confidently. That's more important. So we have to admit to ourselves that all along we've been watching games with heart in mouth almost every game. But the last game wasn't one of them, and it was actually just a confident display that we saw in motion. Yeah.
Actually, I was saving this question for later to ask about what does this Arsenal team remind you of? Like which past Arsenal team or which past Arsenal phase does this good playing Arsenal team remind you of?
Yeah, I think I could think this of as the early days of Emirates era, if I were to say post 2006, because we didn't really still have a formidable team back during then. We still had a lot of players with Henry and everyone leaving, but when post that, there were actually a couple of seasons where we sort of were trying with Alex Leb and Gilberto and all those people in midfield, before Gilberto left. And then even with the attack, there were actually a lot of fluid players, Fabregas coming on, and then later stage, Nasri joining in 2007, I think.
Yeah.
So it's sort of reminding me of that, with the fluidity that we are able to.
Project Youth.
Sorry, what?
Project Youth with.
Project Youth. Yeah, the so-called Project Youth.
This is Project Youth 2.0.
Not really. So I think this was a carefully constructed plan. These kids are not picked up as 15, 16-year-olds, but rather they were carefully picked up from, every other part of the world that they were playing in, and then put together as a team who could actually just follow. It's just discipline, basically, what we are looking at. And that's what is getting reflected in the result. As long as the team gets disciplined in terms of whatever that they should be doing every game, we could be expecting results like this. This is no magic. What Arteta has actually instilled, more than his formations and all those sort of things, he has actually brought in a culture to the club, and he's been able to maintain it so far, which is why people like Ozil or Oba haven't been thriving as much. You need to set in a line, and beyond that, none of us could actually even think of stepping out.
I don't know if you saw that Aubameyang reply to Piers Morgan.
I saw that. Yes, I saw that. No, good on him. I still love Auba. We all do. We owe him a lot, for our recent success as such, because he's been the one carrying the team. If not for him, we would have been in even worse a position that you could think of. But I mean, I'm happy that he's scoring. It's well and truly happy. But I don't see him featuring in this team. I mean, with this attitude, it's very hard for him to get a feature, and I would back the boss for that. Because it's at the end of the day, you have to just respect the gaffer here, and then when he's trying to do something, you just have to get on with it. There is no alternate rules for others to come in and go. No.
There was a moment in the game when Martinelli did something that made me go, yeah, Aubameyang would never be able to do that, or Aubameyang would never be able to do that going forward. Like, there was a moment when Martinelli was defending as the deepest right-sided player, and then the pass was happening, and then he was at the end of the move at the other end. So literally, he defended, ran all through the pitch to the other end and took the shot. So
Auba of Saint Etienne or Dortmund would have actually done that. But definitely not the Auba of Arsenal.
No, it's not about, like, for me, it's not about the ability of the player or the age of the player. It's about the mentality of the player.
Mentality, correct.
And
yes.
And Martinelli, being the young guy, he's like, Arteta is able to mold him into a player that he wants him to be, not what he is. So that part I really like. The other part of the whole thing was the delivery from Martinelli for the first goal. How much did you enjoy Partey scoring?
As much as what you could imagine. So in fact, I would actually put my big
Atletico fan and Bob would have been screaming about that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. See, okay, so if you are raving about the performance, Partey's performance against Leicester, I would say that this was actually an average performance that you would perform every game at Atletico. That's how he was. He was literally, he would be everywhere, that you can't actually find a way past him. And the formation as well, when you looked at it, just on paper at least, that Xhaka was actually put in a more advanced role. So which means that the confidence that they have in Partey, being the midfield linchpin, as you would say, being the sole midfielder, but still was able to perform to his best, is the sort of the player that we all signed when we got him. But for all sad truth, it was never materialized until this season.
But that's actually a bit of a question for me, Bob, right? Like with Partey, when we signed him, there were talks about him moving from Atletico because he wants a different role, because he wants something more. And we all thought that meant that Partey would become a box-to-box midfielder or someone who plays up the field. And we tried
maybe he still could, so we don't know. See, I think for this season, he's been held back as the deep playing midfielder because there isn't anyone else. I mean, the other alternate is Xhaka and Lokonga, who's just sort of improving his game and all those sort of things. But apart from him and Elneny as well, Elneny, again, he knows himself that he's a backup. No offense to him, he's a good squad player, but yeah, that's as much as what he is. But we don't really have the personnel to take Partey to a more sort of an advanced role or a box-to-box side of a role that he wanted. Yes, I agree with you that's one of the reasons as to what he mentioned before he signed in for us, that he is looking to play different roles. But the team as well has been in massive transition, since the time that he came here to what it is at the moment. We fans couldn't have even imagined as much as a change as what is happening there. So which means that he probably would have to sort of, I wouldn't say sacrifice, he's still been able to move around and all those sort of things. He's sort of used in a different thing, and which is helping the team's purpose. And as long as the purpose is achieved, once we get the personnel in a sort of similar role, he would then have more freedom. You would imagine possibly that Xhaka will be moved on this season. I hope
so, but I don't think
I think many of the Arsenal fans hope that way, right? He's not been a bad player.
It's not like before, right? It's not like before where I was frustrated with Xhaka
Yeah, exactly.
performance and stuff. It's not about his performance. It's about where we want our team to move.
Yeah.
And he has been, for me, I actually wanted to start this podcast with a different, catchphrase where I was going to mock the incidents of inconsistent refereeing, where one handball was penalized with a penalty, and the other handball, Xhaka walked scot-free, where he tried catching the ball over his head.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that incident.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what he was up to, but that typifies Xhaka, right? Like, he has his own limitations. He's a what do they call it? Square peg in a round hole. We are making do of him, or making him do the number 8 role as much as he is possible. I mean, to the best of his abilities, he is doing that role. But is he fit for doing that role? Not really. We are making him do that role, and he's doing it to the best of his abilities.
Yeah, no, totally. If you imagine that for the last 5 games, Xhaka hasn't got a card. How big of a stat is that?
I was surprised that handball thing, he didn't get a card.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. But
that was a Sunday league thing. Like, even in Sunday leagues, we would have let the ball go and we would have gone and got it.
For a change, the opposition were having a lot of party at us that we were crying for all the VAR decisions, only for us getting one back. To be honest, I never really expected the handball to be given as a penalty. I probably was thinking, they'll be looking at every possible angle, and in one of those angles, they would have actually noticed that it was a slightest touch. But yeah, I think the hand was well away from the body, and that proved to be fatal for Leicester. So
that just proves that referees hate Brendan Rodgers' team more than us.
Oh, yeah.
That's all it is.
No, so coming back to Xhaka, so I think he's doing what he is doing, but deep within us and deep within him knows that he doesn't have a future in Arsenal until or unless things could drastically change, just like how it happened last year. I don't see him continuing at Arsenal in the coming years. Or most of the fans don't do. There are actually some fanboys who actually want him to continue, and he's not as well a bad. Sorry. He's not a bad option as well to continue, as we noticed this season, because even for this season, we never really expected him to be there. When we thought of, when we put down the names of players who are going to be moving in the summer, first was Xhaka, because there was an open interest from Roma, and all that was waiting to happen was the Euros to complete. And once after that, Xhaka would have been out by the way. But just that, last minute, they couldn't work out. They were hoping that, his interest would actually bring down the price, but Arsenal stayed firm. And as a result, we still have him. And when Arteta has been trying to utilize what he has in a player. So, and that's not actually a wrong thing. So basically, it's working out for us, and it will continue to work for us in the rest of the season. But yeah, I think if we were to move, neither of the parties would have any regrets in terms of in the move out.
Actually, there is an interesting stat there, Bob. Before December, Xhaka, Partey, and Odegaard played only one game together this season. And then after December, they played 10 out of the 11 games. They started 10 out of the 11 games, and we have been on the road.
Awesome. That's a good stat to read, right? Yeah, I think they all take 3-day absences, right? Once after a game, either Xhaka would get a red card, Partey would get a red card,
or either of them would.
Or Odegaard would miss out on injury or whatever. But yeah.
But Bob, talking about the first goal though, right? Like the Partey goal. It's a good delivery. The thing that I'm most surprised about is our set pieces this season has been absolutely great. Like, not just offensive, even defensive. I think there was a number going around saying that 155 shots or 155 set pieces against us, and not one has been scored.
Yep.
I know by saying that I'm jinxing it,
jinxing it,
but it's still a great stat. Even if it is jinxed at this point, I would still go ahead and say like that's a great stat to have.
Yeah, traditionally Arsenal have been a team who have never been good on set pieces. I remember the good old days, Stoke, Blackburn, everyone would actually come down, haunt the goalkeepers. They'll actually make shackles out of it and then try and score something out.
Flappy would flappy hands.
Yeah, all the things would have happened at Arsenal. So, so it's never a stat that we were on top of, even during Wenger era. But there wasn't much focus on that as such, to be honest. There was a lot of focus on attacking for solidarity and all those sort of things, and then the way that we move the ball, slick pass, and all those sort of things. But there wasn't any focus put into it. One of the things which Arteta has to be credited amongst other things that he has done is the fact that he did bring in a set piece coach, which we discussed in the past as well. Nick Jower, I think, yeah. So he has got with him a lot of experience, and particularly his expertise in set piece, and that's what actually is helping us with the team at the times when things go difficult. When you are able to find an opening or two through a set piece, what more like it? Seriously.
There was talking about Arteta and his coaches, right? I was surprised to know that there was a coach or there was someone in the bench who does the video thing. So when Arteta was asked about the handball incident, Soyancho's handball incident, he was mentioning, the person who sits in the bench who handles this came to us and said like, yeah, it's a penalty. It's going to be a penalty. So we were very confident. And I was going like, you have a person there who is doing that? Like, I think it never used to happen. Wenger used to throw bottles.
I think those guys must be from Amazon, but yeah.
But anyway. but talking about Amazon documentary, I just wish instead of us, they had picked this year to Chelsea or Manchester United, because there is so much happening in both those clubs. I mean,
even Tottenham as well. We forgot good old Tottenham.
Yeah, I hated that Ronaldo scored a hat-trick. I mean, I'm not a Ronaldo fanboy. I'm the opposite of it, because he played against us. He started his career at Manchester United. I would never be able to love that guy, even though I respect his talents. But still, seeing Tottenham lose that game was all I wanted.
I mean, I would have preferred a draw, but yeah, I think it's all
right. I mean, from a points perspective, that would have been better. But any day Tottenham loses is a happy day for me.
Oh, totally.
Especially when we were talking about like, we bet Everton 5-0. Did you see us play? We are playing Conte ball. And I'm like, yes, fuck you. But getting back to the game, Bob, like getting back to the game, there was a couple of instances which was a little bit, I don't know. When watching the game, I didn't feel that, but then when I looked at stats, I was going like, really, like they had more possession than us.
Especially in the second half. That's more reflective from the second half. In the last 5 minutes, we didn't even bother to touch the ball. I think I looked at the last 5 minutes possession stats, and it was 95% Leicester and 5% Arsenal. Arsenal were like, you have the ball, do whatever that you want to. We've won the game, we've got 3 points in the bag. It wasn't like, as I said, it was one of those confident victories where we were not pissing in our pants and then we were just waiting for the time to run down and all those sort of things. You do whatever that you want with the ball. We are happy to stay back. Try and go past us. That was the attitude.
I mean, you could say that you were not pissing in your pants. I had 2 moments in the game when I was literally pissing in my pants.
That's because you were drinking, buddy.
but literally, the Aaron Ramsdale save, that alone should get him a starting berth in the England squad. Pickford should no longer be number 1.
If you think Pickford would still get a start ahead of Ramsdale, this England management is absolutely in shambles, I would say. Yeah, for all that Ramsdale has been doing, if he doesn't get a start, I mean, forget about being in the squad and all those sort of things. If he doesn't make it to the starting 11 with his performances against, for England, this England management, I can't forgive them.
that save was
point blank. Yes.
Oh, even Brendan Rodgers reacted like I don't know.
Yeah,
He
that
said,
was good.
"Wow," and that's
Yeah. That summed up the game, isn't it? See,
Leicester team in itself should be like so scared of Ramsdale because every time he comes up against them, he pulls off these blinders, right?
Totally.
And yeah, I mean, we have talked enough about Ramsdale. We love him. The amount of shithousery he brings to the team, the amount of swagger that he brings out to the team. Did you see that when Lacazette was taking his penalty, Ramsdale was turning and like looking at the crowd. He was not looking at.
I saw that as well. I saw that video.
Like Laka taking penalty. That sums up Aaron Ramsdale for me.
Actually, I watched that again from fan videos and all those sort of things because I was myself not watching that penalty. Seriously, I had heart in my mouth at the time for sure. Who would have imagined, like I said, to take that? I mean, there's no one else apart from, I think, should have been Odegaard. But yeah, I think, like I said, was a natural penalty taker. So it's good that he took it on. I more than the goal that he scored, I like the way that the whole team came in for him. And congratulated him for his goal. Shows that
what was Ben White doing? He always he was rubbing Lacazette's head. I was going like, what the fuck are you doing, buddy?
There's nothing to rub there, by the way. But I don't know why these guys were actually doing.
Maybe it's like I don't know if in Indian households they have these laughing Buddha statues where they rub the belly for good luck or something like that.
Possibly.
Lacazette's head is our good luck rub thing.
No, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, but that was a good solid goal. I mean, especially since we saw like Peter Schmeichel Kasper Schmeichel. Yeah, Schmeichel dived the right way. He did dive the right way, and Lacazette went like, "I'm gonna pick a spot, and I'm gonna."
And I was almost certain that they would have to, that they would be asking Lacazette to take the goal again because of the fact that they said he stopped during the run up and all those sort of things. All those complaints, I thought, would make him. But for once, everything worked in our favor, which was completely surprising for me as such, because you can't think of us getting a penalty in the first place and having got one, converting successfully in the second place, and then there was as well a complaint in the build up to the penalty where they thought they were complaining that, like I said, stopped during the build up to the kick. But then even then that was actually vetoed.
You could complain all you want. We have won the game.
That's it. So yeah, no, that's it. Move on. Yeah.
There are two other instances that I want to talk about before we jump into the Liverpool preview. One instance was when Saka was brought down inside the penalty box. He made a brilliant run into the penalty box. I didn't feel that it was a penalty, but there was also a case that could be made for penalty. But for me, the more concerning thing was teams are now starting to, or not starting. They've been doing this for a long time, like kicking Saka in rotation.
See, that's because he is putting himself in dangerous positions, and amongst he's trying to do twists and turns in places that people are least expecting to. And obviously, with defenders, there comes in some sort of a frustration where they sort of not get the things that they would want, and then at the end of the day, it just gets shown in the actions that they do. And that's what is happening with Saka. There's no as such an agenda to sort of attacking and all those sort of things.
No, not in that sense, but the referees are usually protective of all the English players in the league. Like that's the given. We could say no, they don't do that and all those things, but truth is they always are protective of the English players. They always are ready to give out cards if the English players are fouled and stuff. But that doesn't seem to happen for Saka.
We could look as much as what we want and talk as much, but I don't think there is anything as much as to be looked at from here. So it's just another incident that I see. I would prefer to more talk about the Ben White tackle.
Oh yeah, that's what I was getting at the next one.
Yeah, no, I think that's more talkable thing than what I feel with Saka. Sorry, that's my opinion.
No, absolutely. With that tackle, the same way how I was mentioning about Aaron Ramsdale should get into the England squad, the same way like Ben White gets into the England squad ahead of Maguire just with that one tackle.
Again, mate, see, it's even more shitosity. It's going to be an even more shitosity if they allow Maguire to start ahead of White, isn't it? And Mings, on the other hand, hasn't been good as well. Mings has made a lot of mistakes this season for Aston Villa. We'll be talking more on that, during our Villa preview. But still, there's been the England defenders, in particular with Mings and Maguire, has not been so sharp. Stones is good, but yeah, I feel White has actually proved his worth as billing. For people who were actually comparing him with Varane and all those sort of people before, Varane has hardly started as much games, So and there, it just shows that how much work has been put into the transfer side of things, for us to be in such a position that we are. And I can't quite, I can't quite rave about the fact that we made the right decisions about it in the transfer time.
Especially since when the transfer market talks were going on, we were talking about all Ben White's distribution and how he could be utilized as a CDM and all those things. And then turn around and you see that he's a solid center back. He's in fact a defending center back. So
yeah,
that gives us the answers that we needed.
Oh, totally.
So yeah, the win was great. Let's put that out of the discussion.
If you are going to end the Leicester review here, I just wanted to finish it up by asking one question. Who do you rate as man of the match?
Oh, for me, it was Partey.
Yeah, man. I was going to bring this up because I wanted to actually put Partey there.
Yeah, I mean, Odegaard played really.
Everybody were raving about Odegaard, but I felt Partey was immense. He could have gotten a hat-trick, seriously.
Yeah.
He could have literally got a brace, at least at the bare minimum, if not for that woodwork and then that point blank save there. But yeah, I think he was clearly the man of the match, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah. He was literally running the midfield. There was one moment where he took the ball and turned two players. I was going like, yeah, that is Partey. So yeah, that he is the man of the match for me.
Did you watch the clip where Ramsdale and Holding were sort of discussing the FIFA 22 rankings, and
for the hair you got like two points extra or something.
Yeah, that was one thing. And then I think Gabriel is the strongest player at Arsenal, and they were all pulling his leg for the fact that he could actually fall with a whiff and all. It's quite funny to watch.
I didn't see the whole video. I will definitely watch it, and
for sure.
With the copyright claim, we would definitely use that sometime and get a copyright strike on us by adding that video somewhere. Yeah, but all this talks about progress and 5 win streak and stuff like that. We are meeting the title challenges. Liverpool tomorrow, the time I'm recording, we are recording right now. The game's tomorrow. With all the talks, Bob.
You seem to blow out. Sorry, it looks like a sigh to me, which is a sort of a sign to say.
Which is true because we know how Arsenal fans are. We could be winning 5 in a row. We could be playing amazing football, but 2 losses in a row would bring us back to a position where Arsenal fans are calling for Arteta's head. And literally, Liverpool is one of those teams which could start that conversation if things go bad. So it is a very difficult game to handle, especially because we didn't make substitutions in the previous game. at the right time to me. Like we waited for 75th minute to make our first substitution instead of earlier substitutions. We had Saka pulling off a little bit cramping, or he was not 100% at the end of the game. So I'm worried going into this game a little bit. Not to the extent of we would be smacked 4-0 or something, but to the extent of where we wouldn't be able to put on a performance that we would be proud of.
See, you shouldn't be getting surprised at anything. Last time when we faced Liverpool at Anfield, we were still going with the team high on confidence, high on morale after all our recent wins back then. But then we still managed to lose the game 4-0.
Yeah.
Until that point in time, Aaron Ramsdale had actually just conceded one goal, I think, out in his whole Arsenal career. So we were going in with a lot of confidence, and things didn't quite work our way. With people were able to find all the Liverpool players were able to find targets with minimal possible thing. I wouldn't say that we collapsed that day, but we sort of nothing clicked in our favor in the first place. And things could be exactly the same way as well. It could be, maybe it could be a different, maybe it could be the same, but there is every indication, as you suggest, to think that Liverpool might be the better team. Of course they are a better team. There is no what do you call, it's open to admit, you could easily admit that they are clearly a better team. People were raving about the fact that, Salah might be out, or he might not be in the starting 11 and all those sort of things. For me, I wouldn't really care about that match, because if Salah is injured, then they would find another one, and if he is not fit again, then they would find another one as well. I would even go down to the levels of Harvey Elliott to look at Liverpool's depth, and if they could bring in Chamberlain, and this new player Lucas Diaz is actually
he's a menace. He looks like a menace to teams like us, especially.
Yeah. So and with the recent times, I've already I've already started to look at Diego Jota as more a threat than what Firmino or Salah or Mane would be doing usually. So considering that Liverpool has depth in every position, and there is enough reasons for us to think, because Jurgen is not going to come up with a team to sit back and then fight for a point and go.
Yeah, especially since the game like City.
Yeah, so they will have extra motivation to do. Absolutely. And since with City dropping points, there's totally a lot of motivation for them to come up and snatch a victory on our hands. If you ask me how would the game be going, or how do you expect, I don't expect us to be on top, with respects to position and all those sort of things, until or unless Arteta comes up with a complete magic, which I wouldn't say it's not possible, but with Liverpool's strengths, it's very hard for us to actually expect such a thing. So this game has
there was a meme about how we could manage the Liverpool game, where people said like, Xhaka goes in, choke slams Naby Keita or Thiago and gets a red card, and we bring in Rob Holding in to form a back three and settle for a 0-0 draw.
That's not what we want, and that's not how they would want as well. And yeah, if you're going to be slam dunking Keita, then they would bring in Thiago, Fabinho, and everyone. So I can't just
Fabinho, Thiago, who else is there in the midfield?
Yeah, they'll even put Matip there in the midfield if required. They've got like huge lot of players. So.
Milner, they could put Milner anywhere.
Yeah.
Plays everywhere and anywhere. Oh,
yeah, totally. No, see, I'm in awe about how Klopp has actually set his team. and exactly the blueprint for us to follow. Because this Liverpool team, if they didn't actually buy out all these players, they brought in players and they made them into the players that they are now. So if Arteta wants to look upon someone to try and follow, it should be more Klopp than what Guardiola is trying to do, because Guardiola usually buys everyone. He assembles a team and then he makes, he gets the best out of them. That requires a lot of attention, investment as such. So I mean, the Klopp's model is good, but could we stand up against them? See, you could think that now is probably a better time than most of the times in the past, right? In the recent past, we never even stood a chance. We were just hoping that things would go in our way. But there is more than hope for this game. There is enough evidence to suggest that we may, even if we go on to win, I'm not saying that we will, but even if we go on to win, that's purely based on how we've been performing in the recent games. It's just that all the players would be up for it, and they'll be taking confidence from how they've been performing in the recent times. And I for sure would want to, if I were a player at Arsenal, I would look at this game, performing at this game more than any other game in the recent past, because that would be an egg on all those media houses and all these pundits there who are pointing at the fact that Arteta or Arsenal are weak, and we would be the least to get into the top 4. Yeah. So maybe I'm just seriously hoping that our players take positive motivation from that, and they'll look at it and say, yep, that's the sort of game that we have to be proving who we are and how do we do. And if the tactics and all those sort of things are rock solid, and I can't see us coming less than a point.
Okay. That's a positive take from you, more than a positive take from you than me. I'm looking at this game as going like, okay, let's put on a performance that we are proud of. I don't care about the result. Let's not go a 4-0 loss. Let's not do a game where we are like coming out of it, because we still have a fair bit of season to play. And if we have a game that is going to damage our morale, if we have a game that's going to damage our confidence, that's going to have much more repercussion than the loss. For me, the game is about keeping that momentum, keeping that confidence, keeping that morale of togetherness for the rest of the season. I'm not worried about getting 3 points or a point out of this game, because it's Liverpool. If there is one game that at the start of the season, if I'm going to put as like, that's a loss, that I'm not getting points out of it, that's Liverpool and City, right? So those are the two games.
But I think Arsenal traditionally have this mental mind block against bigger teams, right? We give too much respect for them. That we shouldn't.
True, Bob. What you're saying is true.
See, look at what Crystal Palace have done. Crystal Palace have taken 4 points out of City.
Yeah, I get it, and I would love us to turn that. But from a fan's perspective, what I'm seeing is like, okay, I'm not saying that the team or the manager or the players should be going with that mentality. They should be going in with like, let's win this game mentality.
Okay.
But from a fan's perspective, I'm just managing my expectation.
The last top 6 team that we faced was City, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that was the game that we should have won.
Yeah.
And the ref literally stole us the game.
Yeah.
If we are actually putting a performance exactly similar to that, there is no reason as to why we should not win.
Yeah, definitely. But also that is considering that Liverpool will not go up a notch. We know that they are. And as much as we would love to say that our progress, I mean, I understand our progress has been good. I accept that our progress is great and everything. And we are aiming for a Champions League spot. But we are a team who is aiming to get into a Champions League spot. But they are a team that has already won a Champions League and possibly contending for a Champions League this year, like to win the Champions League. That's a huge gap there. And that is a level that we want to aspire to cross at some point. But at this point, are we there? We are not. So from a fan's perspective, what I'm saying is my management of expectation is I want the team to, to play a really good game, to come out with a performance that says like, yeah, we tried really hard. If we get 3 points out of that good performance, well and good. If we get 1 point out of that good performance, yeah, I'm happy. But if we lose and we still have a good performance, that's also acceptable for me. That's what I'm saying. And because for me, getting into top 4 is more important. Like if I give you an option of like, we will lose this game, but get into top 4, or we would win this game and not get into top 4, I would pick that we could lose this game and get into top 4. But I know there would be like, our listeners who would be going like, why can't we win this game and get into top 4? Why can't we have both? Yeah, we would prefer to have both, but let's just manage our expectations. That's what I would say. But anyways, Bob, I want to ask you about your predictions for the Liverpool game.
I thought you didn't ask me, seriously.
I would
I don't really have any predictions in mind. The optimist in me is saying that we would be winning 1-0. And the pessimist in me still thinks that we could draw the game 1-1.
Okay, great. I'm not going to put up any predictions on me. No way.
Mate, why do you make me say that? I'm not the one usually who makes predictions. You know that. So.
That's the positivity of like, the positive effect of being the host of the podcast. So anyways, for all the listeners, do like, share and comment in your predictions for the game and your expectations of the game. Hopefully there is enough time for you to, listen to this and comment in your predictions for the game. And I think we'll meet you after the game. Thank you so much for joining in, Bob. Bye.
Perfect. Thank you. See you, mate. Bye.